So, as a cheese lover, I'm going to make one of my favorite soups. We're going to make a beer and cheese soup. This soup is awesome. It's great for a cold game day. I love eating this soup, watching the Saints, of course, and the Pelicans. But this soup is cheese-based, and it's delicious. So we'll go over the ingredients. Of course, we have a Pilsner. That's the beer part of the soup. We have some chicken stock. I have 3 types of cheese. Sharp cheddar. I have Gouda because I love the smoky taste of the cheese. We have some pepper jack. And of course, we have some bacon, which is smoked. It's going to go great with the Gouda cheese. We have some jalapeno pepper. That's going to give us a little bit of kick. That kicks in with that great cheese, the pepper jack. And I have some red bell peppers and onion. So we're going to get started. So the first thing that I did was I took my bacon and I rendered it into my pot. You can see I have some of my little drippings still in there. So you want to fry your bacon. You want to get it nice and crisp until it's done. And you're only going to add back in about 2 tablespoons of the fat. So my bacon's done. Of course, you didn't need to see that part. So the next thing we're going to do is once our oil gets back up to temp, we're going to add in our vegetables, the onion, the jalapeno, and the red pepper. So now that our bacon fat, it's hot, we're going to go ahead and add in our vegetables. That's the red pepper, the onions, and the jalapeno. You can hear that sizzle. We're going to go ahead and saute these until they start to kind of break down just a little bit. Be aware of the steam because these are jalapenos, so they'll definitely open up the nasal passages. So right now I have my pot set to a medium heat because we don't want to burn anything. We just really want to cook the vegetables in the fat and to really get them sauteed down. After we do that, we're going to go ahead and add in our thyme. So I have about a tablespoon of thyme, fresh thyme we're going to add in. Just put that in. Next, I'm going to add in 4 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to use this butter because we're going to make a roux as the thickening for our cheese soup. So you get your butter in and just wait until it's all completely melted before you add your flour. So now that our butter's completely melted, we're going to add in our sprinkling this flour. It's a 1/4 cup of flour. And we don't want to cook it that long, but we do want to cook it well enough so that we kind of cook out that raw flour taste. It's only going to take a couple of minutes to do that. And you'll start to see whatever fat or juices you had left over in the pot start to absorb. The flour is really going to soak it up. So now that we have the flour nice and cooked down, we're going to go ahead and add our beer. So we're only going to use about 1.5 cups. This is a little bit more, but we're only using about 1.5 cups of beer. And save the rest for drinking. Definitely buy a beer that you love to drink. So we have that nice and mixed in, and you'll see that your roux is really starting to take shape. Next, we're going to add in the chicken stock, and then we're going to slowly add in the cream and get it nice and mixed together. Because we're adding in these other ingredients, it's actually going to slow or lower the temperature of the soup. So just wait until we bring it back up to a small or a little bit of a rolling boil. So we have it nice and mixed in. We've added the chicken stock and the beer. And next I'm going to add in the cream. And it's 1 cup of heavy cream. Once our stock comes up to more of a simmer, then we'll get to add in the good stuff, which is the cheese. So we're just going to let this sit for a minute. There's no need to continue to stir it. It's not going to stick or burn at any point at this stage. So we're just going to let it come up to a boil, and then we'll go ahead and add in our cheese. So now our soup is actually at a full boil. We're going to stir it a little bit, and then we're going to start adding in the cheese. So the first cheese that I'm going to add is this sharp cheddar that I have grated. Just go ahead and sprinkle it around. You don't want to add it all into maybe like one clump. Just don't dump it in. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get it all mixed in. Yes, of course, it'll melt eventually, but it'll go a lot quicker if you just spread it out. Next is going to be the Gouda cheese. I'm going to put all of this. This is my favorite. I'm going to give that a stir. And finally, we're going to add the pepper jack. And you can see that these are actually crumbles. They're not shredded like the others, but it doesn't matter. As long as your cheese is done in small portions, it will melt and go into the soup very nicely. So we have all of our cheese, all of the main ingredients are now in the soup. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of salt and pepper and let it come to a slow simmer. And we're going to go ahead and let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that will be it. Your soup should be done. So just put a little bit of salt and pepper. Of course, to your taste. You don't have to mix it a lot, of course, but once you add the cheese, you do want to keep an eye on it because you don't want your cheese to fall to the bottom of the pot and get scorched. So now that our soup has simmered, it is complete. It smells delicious. So we're going to go ahead and put some in our bowl. And I assure you, when you serve this to your family and friends, they're going to love you. And definitely they're going to be looking for take-home containers because this soup is fabulous. You can serve this soup with pretzel chips. I have some here. You can also serve it with pretzel rolls or buns. So we're just going to top this soup with a little bit of green onion and a little bit of parsley. And our bacon crumbles. That was the start of our soup. Go ahead and add a little bit of that on top. And that is it. So I hope you guys come out and visit us at the Southern Food and Beverage Museum.